Welcome to IE News Week in Review, and welcome to our viewers logged on to our website www.ietvtt.com. I am Micah Dume. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at the top stories that made the news headlines on Monday, April 27th. Concerns are being raised over a multi-million US dollar financing arrangement tied to the Port of Spain waterfront following findings in the 2025 Auditor General's report laid in Parliament. Here's more. Auditor General Jaywanti Ramdas revealed that a US $500 million loan was secured by Port of Spain Waterfront Development Limited through UMB Bank NA. The report states that repayment is linked to a 30-year sublease arrangement involving the Office of the President. While the loan is not recorded as government debt, it is reportedly being repaid using public funds, creating what has been described as an indirect financial obligation and raising concerns about transparency. However, the Office of the President has strongly rejected claims of wrongdoing. In a statement, the office has said attempts to link President Christine Kangaloo to the transaction are wholly improper, stressing that the President acts only in accordance with the Constitution and on the advice of Cabinet or relevant ministers. The office added that further clarification will be provided if necessary as more details emerge. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has condemned a dramatic shooting that disrupted the White House Correspondents' Dinner, describing the incident as an attack on democratic institutions. Here's more. In a statement, she expressed relief that United States President Donald Trump, the First Lady, and other attendees were not injured and commended the swift response of the Secret Service. The shooting occurred on Saturday night at the Washington Hilton, where the high-profile event was underway. Reports indicated that gunfire erupted near a security checkpoint outside the ballroom, triggering panic as guests scrambled for cover while security personnel moved to secure the area. Authorities say the suspect, armed with multiple weapons, attempted to breach security but was intercepted and taken into custody. One Secret Service officer was injured during the confrontation but is expected to recover. The incident forced the immediate suspension of the event, which is regarded as a major gathering of political leaders, media, and public figures in the United States. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar joined international leaders in expressing concern over the attack, extending well wishes to those affected and reaffirming her stance against violence targeting democratic institutions. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says the subsidy on the domestic air bridge will not be removed even as the government explores options to expand service. Speaking on the issue, the Prime Minister noted that while the subsidy remains in place, consideration is being given to adding 2 additional flights at a higher price point. She emphasized that Tobago remains a national priority and assured that no decision will be taken to undermine the island's interests. Among key initiatives outlined for Tobago are the establishment of a local police service resolving long-standing land tenure issues and the development of a desalination plant in Charlottesville. The Prime Minister said these measures form part of a broader plan to strengthen infrastructure and improve the quality of life for Tobagonians.
Our sister island remains a priority for your government today and always. Tobago is not an afterthought. Tobago is central to the future of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. In our first budget last year, Tobago received its highest ever allocation of $3.724 billion. Highest ever in the history, 6.3% of the national budget. And then we introduced, Mr. John, the MV Blue Wave Harmony. Again, improved efficiency on the sea bridge. And they're talking about the subsidy on the air bridge. So we have a new ship on the sea bridge. On the air bridge, the cabinet has not decided, but it is being considered that we put 2 extra flights at a higher price. Now this is world-class practice around the globe. So you have different categories, but the subsidy will not be taken away. Make it clear, you know. Again, they want to change up. The subsidy on the Tobago flights will not be taken away.
From from the freshness of the ocean, Rainbow has sealed in all the natural, healthy goodness in their canned tuna, sardines, and mackerel. So go ahead, enjoy some crispy sardines, stewed mackerel, or a creamy tuna salad. Because while your tummy enjoys the great taste, your heart and immunity will love the healthy omega-3s, calcium, protein, and more. Rainbow's canned tuna, sardines, and mackerel are 100% real fish, so it's tasty, healthy eating for your body, heart, and mind. Rainbow canned fish.
Tile Expressions Limited, as one of the largest importers of tiles, offers an extensive range of high-quality tiles in ceramic, porcelain, granite, stone, and mosaic options. Additionally, we offer a variety of tile accessories and bathroom sets to complement any decor style. We are committed to providing exceptional customer service and swift delivery of all products. From indoor and outdoor tiles to bathroom sets and tile accessories, we have curated a range that caters to both traditional and modern taste. Lampus 13, Ajudha Road, Munro Road, Canopio. Call 223-8453.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the top stories that made the news headlines on Tuesday, April 28th. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has boosted its operational capacity with the addition of 51 new vehicles, including 26 electric units. Here's more. The handover coincided with the launch of the Active Directed Patrol Initiative, a data-driven strategy aimed at strengthening public safety and improving police response nationwide. At the center of the initiative is the National Operations Fusion Center, which will serve as a command hub, integrating advanced technologies to monitor and respond to criminal activity in real time. Former Acting Commissioner of Police MacDonald Jacob said the system will utilize tools such as facial and vehicle recognition, CCTV surveillance, and GPS tracking across the police fleet. Commissioner of Police Alistair Guevara described the initiative as a practical, intelligence-led approach to deploying limited resources with greater precision. He added that the integration of electric vehicles into patrol operations is a first for the Caribbean and Latin America. Attorney General John Jeremy emphasized the importance of visible policing, warning that limited presence can erode public confidence and embolden criminal activity. Meanwhile, Minister of Homeland Security Roger Alexander said the rollout represents a significant step forward, noting that the government remains committed to equipping the police service with the resources needed to fight crime.
We have tools like the facial and vehicle recognition, CCTV surveillance system, wanted and suspected persons monitoring, GPS monitoring. That means to say that the entire GPS system in the police vehicles throughout the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service could be accommodated there.
It's a practical, data-anchored strategy designed to direct our limited resources with precision, ensuring that police presence and police response are placed exactly where they are needed the most. The Active Directed Grid Patrol Initiative is the latest in a series of strategic policy directives aimed at bringing modern policing to Trinidad and Tobago, and today we add another historic milestone. For the first time in the Caribbean and Latin America, a police department is launching a pilot project to integrate electric vehicles into its patrol regime.
Better late than never. Better late than never. We are ready, and the police service is taking it to the next level. And a commissioner of police who's not about talk, about action, what else you can ask for? The government of Trinidad and Tobago intends to, or continues to, resource the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Senator Ashworth Jack is raising concerns about the changing landscape of Carnival, pointing to the decline of traditional calypso tents. Speaking on the issue, Senator Jack highlighted the growing dominance of soca, which he says has become more widely embraced due to its inclusive appeal, higher performance fees, and strong audience demand. He noted that while soca continues to thrive, the reduced prominence of calypso tents raises questions about the preservation of one of Trinidad and Tobago's most important cultural traditions. The discussion adds to a wider national conversation about the evolution of Carnival and how best to sustain its traditional art forms while adapting to changing audience preferences.
Part of the problem that we seem to walk around because we find it's too controversial is what is causing some of the issues of Carnival to regress. Mr. President, I grew up in a time where the calypso tents were overflowing. Everybody went to a calypso tent because that is where the real essence of Carnival started. Now, you could hardly fool a maxi in a calypso tent. And the question is, what of course the calypso tents, our calypsonians, some of them are fantastic writers, not being able to make a living, a decent one at that, from the art form. And may I say, or may I venture this, that part of the problem is that I am not going to pay for somebody to insult me. Too much of that is happening. Juxtapose that against soca, where Calypsonians are getting small fees. A soca artist is asking for $200,000 to perform and receiving it because soca is now on the rise. It is seen as more all-inclusive. You can enjoy it.
Employees of Crystal Waters have been sent home after the company terminated its entire workforce, citing liquidation. Workers were reportedly informed that the company is shutting down operations and that they will not be entitled to severance benefits. The move has sparked outrage from labor representatives. President of the Steelworkers Union of Trinidad and Tobago, Timothy Bailey, condemned the decision, raising serious concerns about the treatment of affected employees. The union is expected to take up the matter as questions mount over workers' rights and entitlements amid the company's closure.
This news on Saturday, I went back 10 years. It was like metal all over again. And I, being a progressive trade union leader, cannot sit by and allow these workers to suffer, even if it's 40 workers. The Attorney General said Friday, and I must applaud him, that the government policy is that they would not sit by and allow workers to be left to pasture and to starve while companies going through problems. As a government policy, and against that background, we are saying that Crystal, the beverage company, Miss Maria Daniel, these individuals should not be allowed to terminate these workers without any separation benefit, and they should be paid their terminal benefits.
Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality bromate free, all-purpose and whole wheat flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisho Limited at 665-3336 or 480-8715 or visit us at Warrenville, Canoopia. Shiklisho Limited, quality you can trust.
Are you renewing your motor, homeowner or business insurances shortly? Then call Kalyani Limited, agency for Tatil, for a competitive quote. With 2 locations, Todd Street, El Socorro and 5 Rivers, Aruca. Please call us at 221-5051 or 227-5051. Kalyani Limited, agency for Tatil, building relationships exceeding expectations.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the top stories that made the news headlines on Wednesday, April 29th. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says Trinidad and Tobago is not being sidelined despite a series of high-level engagements between Venezuela and other Caribbean nations. Here's more. The Prime Minister's comments come as Venezuela's acting President Delcy Rodriguez continues diplomatic outreach across the region, including recent visits to Barbados and Grenada. During those visits, discussions have centered on energy cooperation, food production, trade, and regional connectivity as Venezuela seeks to strengthen partnerships across the Caribbean. However, Prime Minister Prasad Busesa dismissed suggestions that Trinidad and Tobago has been left out, stating that engagement with Caracas remains active through diplomatic channels. She noted that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs continues to maintain regular contact with Venezuelan officials with ongoing discussions on key areas of mutual interest. The Prime Minister also pointed to evolving regional dynamics, explaining that Venezuela's leadership is now broadening its engagement across the Caribbean following earlier restrictions on international travel. She maintained that Trinidad and Tobago remains confident in its relationship with Venezuela as dialogue and cooperation continue behind the scenes. Minister of Education Michael Daulath says the introduction of AI-supported learning materials is part of a wider plan to modernize and strengthen the national education system. Here's more. Speaking at a spoken word and poetry competition in Pointe-à-Pierre, Dr. Daulath emphasized that the initiative is designed to ensure equal access to high-quality learning resources for all students, particularly those who are most vulnerable. He explained that the AI tools are fully aligned with the ministry's curriculum and work alongside the government's laptop initiative to create a more standardized learning experience across schools. The minister also outlined proposed changes to curriculum delivery, including the possible introduction of continuous assessment at the primary level to ease the pressure of the secondary entrance assessment. He said the reforms are aimed at maintaining academic standards while placing greater focus on students' overall development beyond the classroom. Dr. Daulath further highlighted improvements to student support services, noting that data-driven approaches are being used to assist students with learning challenges, including autism and ADHD. He added that a recently launched National School Code of Conduct will help guide behavior, while support systems are also being strengthened for parents and educators as part of the broader reform agenda.
The AI-supported learning materials that we are providing are especially for all students. It's aligned to the Ministry of Education curriculum. And we are ensuring that all students, especially those who are vulnerable, will have the same standard of learning materials throughout the education system in Trinidad and Tobago. This goes in tandem with our laptop initiative. So that at the Ministry of Education, we are looking at all of the reforms to maintain the standards in terms of curriculum delivery, but also to ensure that the students at the center of it, they find time to engage in activities beside the academics where they can holistically develop themselves. We are looking now at the data that we collected from all the schools, those students who have learning challenges, those who are autistic, those who have ADHD. We are using various strategies for their academic success, but also to recently we launched the National School Code of Conduct to help them to understand how to behave within the context of the school environment.
Students of the University of Trinidad and Tobago are set to benefit from international exposure as a group prepares to travel to Mexico for a one-week study tour. The initiative is aimed at exposing participants to global best practices, particularly in manufacturing and entrepreneurship. Officials say the experience will help build local capacity by allowing students to engage with industry leaders, observe innovative production methods, and explore emerging business models. The tour also forms part of broader efforts to equip young professionals with the skills and knowledge needed to compete in an increasingly globalized economy. Organizers believe the program will not only enhance academic learning, but also foster innovation and entrepreneurial thinking among participants.
Purpose be to expose students to international best practices. If we want to export to the world, we must understand how the world works and what the practices there. But I want to point out this, that the graduates of this program, because it was set up to help in the diversification, to date, there are some 50 companies, sole proprietorships, and limited liabilities companies that have started by graduates of this program. So the program is contributing to development, diversification, and job creation.
In our lives, there are moments that need to be remembered. Are you hosting a Ramayana Yagya, religious or cultural event or celebration? Would you like to have it aired live on IETV or recorded for playback later? We will air your program on IETV and IE Radio, with your viewers joining locally and internationally. Your family and friends worldwide can view on www.ietvtt.com or listen on ieradiott.com. To make arrangements, call or WhatsApp IETV at 784-9880. Let us record your cherished moments and share it.
Let's do India and Nepal, a soulful journey across timeless destinations. Delhi, Kathmandu, Varanasi, Ayodhya, Haridwar, Rishikesh, Agra, and Jaipur. August 12th to 28th. Presented by Pandit Omarat. Call 681-3476 to book now. Not just a trip, it's a spiritual and cultural experience.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the top stories that made the news headlines on Thursday, April 30th. Minister of Health, Dr. Lakram Bodo, is urging citizens to prioritize vaccination as part of efforts to protect public health. Speaking at the handover of cold chain and immunization support tools along with the launch of the National Vaccine Preventable Diseases Surveillance Training Program, Dr. Bodo stressed the importance of the human papilloma virus, or HPV vaccine. He said the vaccine plays a critical role in preventing certain cancers and is a key part of the country's broader public health strategy. The minister also reminded citizens that the influenza vaccine remains available at health centers nationwide, with the current supply accessible until the end of May. Dr. Bodo noted that the strengthening of cold chain systems and surveillance training will improve how vaccines are stored, distributed, and monitored, ensuring greater efficiency and reliability in the national immunization program. He added that these measures are part of ongoing efforts to enhance healthcare delivery and safeguard the population against preventable diseases.
I want to take the opportunity again, to call upon the population to avail themselves of the vaccines where available. I am reminded that the HPV vaccine, we have 20,000 doses available. There is good evidence, of course, that it can prevent cervical cancer if administered to the right group and to the right ages. And in some cases, of course, certain oral cancers as well.
Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar is marking the 37th anniversary of the United National Congress, describing it as a movement rooted in courage, unity, and the will of the people. Here's more. In a commemorative message, the Prime Minister reflected on the party's origins in 1988 at the Club 88 gathering in Aranguez, where supporters rallied behind founding leader Baz Diopande in the fight for democracy, justice, and representation. She said the UNC has evolved from that moment into a national movement grounded in inclusion, equality, and respect for all citizens. The anniversary also coincides with 1 year since the party returned to government following its electoral victory in April of 2025. Persad-Bissessar noted that over the past year, her administration has focused on restoring confidence, strengthening institutions, and delivering improvements in the lives of citizens. She also described her 16-year tenure as political leader as a deeply personal journey marked by challenges but sustained by the continued support of party members. The Prime Minister reaffirmed the party's commitment to building a nation defined by opportunity, security, and dignity for all, while paying tribute to its founders and supporters. She ended by thanking members and supporters for their dedication, expressing confidence in a stronger future for both the party and Trinidad and Tobago. Let's now take a look at some international news.
Tonight, former FBI Director James Comey, again in the sights of the Justice Department, indicted for a second time, now accused of threatening to kill President Trump. A federal grand jury in North Carolina charging Comey with 2 counts alleging that Comey did knowingly and willfully make a threat to take the life of and to inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States.
Threatening the life of the President of the United States will never be tolerated by the Department of Justice.
The indictment centers around this since-deleted Instagram post from Comey showing the numbers 8647, written in seashells on the beach, with the caption, "Cool shell formation on my beach walk." Trump's supporters immediately condemned that post, claiming it was a call to 86 or kill the 47th president. Prosecutors claim that post is a serious expression of an intent to do harm to the president. But Comey immediately deleted that post, writing, quote, "I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I oppose violence of any kind, so I took the post down." And tonight, Comey is firing back.
I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid. And I still believe in the independent federal judiciary, so let's go.
Legal experts say the government faces an incredibly high bar.
It can't just be something where someone might have interpreted it in a particular way. He has to have intended it to have been a threat for this to be a successful prosecution.
Trump and Comey have been political adversaries for years. Just last fall, the president demanding the Justice Department take action against some of his enemies, New York Attorney General Letitia James and Comey among them. Comey and James were indicted last year, but both their cases were thrown out on a technicality. Frustrated at the lack of prosecutions, President Trump fired Attorney General Pam Bondi earlier this month, announcing that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who was also his former criminal attorney, would take over the Justice Department in an acting capacity.
Mr. Speaker, Their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla.
A historic moment tonight at the US Capitol. King Charles in a packed bipartisan chamber, here to repair the strained US-UK alliance after President Trump has been deeply critical of Britain for not joining the war in Iran.
We meet in times of great uncertainty.
The King here just days after an assassination attempt on President Trump.
We meet, too, in the aftermath of the incident not far from this great building that sought to harm the leadership of your nation. Let me say with unshakable resolve, such acts of violence will never succeed.
Charles is the first monarch to address a joint meeting since his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, in 1991. The King is here to mark America's 250th anniversary.
The Founding Fathers were bold and imaginative rebels with a cause. 250 years ago, or as we say in the United Kingdom, just the other day, they declared independence.
There were pointed moments, the King honouring the Founding Fathers' belief in life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness, and the belief that our leaders should be held to account.
The principle that executive power is subject to checks and balances.
The King reminded the world it was NATO allies who were there for the United States after 9/11 and said we must now all be there for Ukraine.
Today, Mr. Speaker, that same unyielding resolve is needed for the defense of Ukraine and her most courageous people.
The King, a long-time champion for the environment, spoke of America's natural wonders.
As we look toward the next 250 years, we must also reflect on our shared responsibility to safeguard nature, our most precious and irreplaceable asset.
And in his final message to lawmakers, in a deeply divided time, he said that words matter, but that the actions of the US matter even more.
America's words carry weight and meaning, as they have since independence. The actions of this great nation matter even more.
And this message as we near America's 250th birthday.
And so to the United States of America, on your 250th birthday, let our two countries rededicate ourselves to each other in the selfless service of our peoples and of all the peoples of the world. God bless the United States, and God bless the United Kingdom.
Well, this is where we leave you for now. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Micah Dume. Thank you for joining us.